What happens to your brain if you face your biggest fear every day? Imagine waking up and deciding to face your biggest fear. Not once, not someday, but every single morning. The fear that freezes your body. The thing that makes your chest tighten, your throat dry, and your heart race so fast it almost hurts. Heights, spiders, public speaking, or maybe something quieter, the fear of rejection, of failure, of being truly seen. Now imagine forcing yourself to walk straight into it, every day, for an entire year. What would that do to your brain? Would it destroy your sanity, or unlock something extraordinary buried deep within the human mind? Let's imagine a scenario. Starting tomorrow, you make a promise. You will face your biggest fear, consciously, deliberately, every day. Not to torture yourself, but to understand it. To see if fear can be defeated, or at least rewired. So what happens next? To find out, we have to go inside, into the human brain, where fear begins. What fear really is. Fear isn't an emotion you choose. It's an ancient biological survival program, hardwired into you by millions of years of evolution. It starts in a tiny structure deep in your brain, the amygdala. Shaped like an almond, it's your alarm system. The moment something feels threatening, a snake, a dark hallway, or an audience of strangers, the amygdala lights up like a siren. It sends emergency signals to your body. Your heart starts racing. Your breathing shortens. Blood rushes to your muscles, preparing you to run or fight. Your pupils widen, your digestion stops, and every bit of energy gets redirected toward one goal: survival. All this happens in a fraction of a second, before your conscious brain even knows what's going on. That's why fear feels so uncontrollable. It's not a thought, it's a reflex. The system that kept your ancestors alive on the African savanna is the same one that makes you panic when your phone buzzes with your boss's name. The system that kept your ancestors alive on the African savanna is the same one that makes you panic when your phone buzzes with your boss's name. But here's the twist: fear isn't broken. It's just outdated. And like software, it can be updated. If you dare to face it, again and again. The brain under pressure. Day one. Day one of your experiment. You step toward your fear. Maybe it's the edge of a tall building. Maybe it's a microphone in front of a crowd. Or a spider crawling near your hand. Instantly, the amygdala fires. Your body reacts as if it's seconds from death. Your pulse skyrockets. Adrenaline floods your veins. You start sweating, trembling, second-guessing every choice that led you here. This is the amygdala in full control, the brain's emergency override. Logic doesn't stand a chance. You're pure instinct now. And when it's over, when you finally step back, still alive, something tiny changes inside your brain. Your prefrontal cortex, the rational part of your mind, notes the result. Wait, we survived. That's the first data point in a new neural pattern. How repetition rewires your brain. The brain is plastic, not like toy plastic, but malleable. Every experience creates connections between neurons. The more often that experience happens, the stronger those connections become. This is called neuroplasticity, the ability of your brain to rewire itself through repetition. So, when you face your fear every day, you're literally building a new network in your brain. The pathway that once screamed, danger, starts to merge with one that says, control. The amygdala's alarms quiet down. The prefrontal cortex, your logic center, starts overriding the panic. You begin to recognize the pattern. I'm scared, but I'm safe. That moment is huge. It's how exposure therapy works, the same principle psychologists use to treat anxiety and PTSD. The more often you face what scares you, the more your brain learns. This is uncomfortable, but not fatal. It's not bravery at first. It's just data collection. And slowly, data turns into courage. The science in action. Researchers at Stanford ran an experiment with people who had severe phobias, like fear of spiders or flying. They didn't use medication or hypnosis, just controlled exposure. Each day, participants were asked to face small, safe versions of their fear. Hold a picture of a spider. Watch one move from behind glass. Eventually, touch one. As weeks passed, brain scans showed something incredible. The amygdala's hyperactivity dropped. The prefrontal cortex, responsible for reasoning, lit up instead. In short, fear stopped hijacking the brain. The participants didn't eliminate fear. They mastered it. Their brains rewired themselves from survival to confidence. The journey through days and weeks. Day 3. You still panic, but it's shorter now. Your body's response peaks fast and fades faster. You begin to anticipate fear instead of being blindsided by it. Day 7. Something surprising happens, your curiosity kicks in. Instead of running from the fear, you start studying it. You notice how your pulse spikes, then calms. How your breathing steadies when you focus on it. You're learning your fear like a language. Day 14. The adrenaline rush starts feeling familiar, even addictive. Your brain begins to reward you with dopamine every time you conquer a moment of panic. The fear response loop transforms into a reward loop. You've flipped the circuit. Day 30. You don't stop feeling fear, but it no longer stops you. Your amygdala still whispers, but your prefrontal cortex speaks louder. And with each repetition, that voice, the calm one, becomes your default. The deeper biology of courage. Inside your skull, 3 systems are now locked in a new rhythm. Keycap 1, the amygdala, no longer your dictator, but your early warning system. It alerts you, but it doesn't control you. Keycap 2, the prefrontal cortex. Strengthened by repetition, it learns to regulate emotional surges, to apply logic, and to make choices under pressure. Keycap 3, the hippocampus, your brain's memory processor, begins linking past fear with new outcomes. It starts labeling fear experiences as safe. Together, these create a new feedback loop. A loop that says, I can be scared and still move forward. That's courage, scientifically defined. Not the absence of fear, but control over its signal. When the experiment goes too far. But there's a dark side. Facing fear too often, without recovery, can overwhelm your system. Chronic stress floods your body with cortisol, a hormone that, in excess, starts damaging neurons in the hippocampus. Sleep quality drops. Your decision-making blurs. You may become hypervigilant, stuck between courage and exhaustion. Even astronauts and soldiers trained to handle high stress must cycle between exposure and recovery. Without balance, your brain begins to burn out instead of evolve. So, the secret isn't constant exposure. It's structured exposure, paired with rest, reflection, and safety. Because growth happens not during the fear, but in the calm moments after, when the brain reorganizes itself. Now imagine doing this for an entire year. You start as someone who flinches at every unknown. By month 3, you're calmer under pressure than most people on Earth. By month 6, fear itself starts to feel predictable. You've built a pattern of mastery. Your amygdala no longer floods your system uncontrollably. Your brain chemistry changes, literally. Dopamine and serotonin, once suppressed by fear, now surge during challenges. Facing fear has become your version of reward. You stop asking, can I handle this? And start thinking, what can I handle next? This is how people become firefighters, explorers, leaders. Not because they're fearless, but because they've trained their brains to find calm in chaos. Historical context. Humans and fear through time. Throughout history, humans have evolved through fear. When our ancestors stepped out of the caves into lightning storms, they didn't have courage. They had necessity. But necessity became adaptation. The first to hunt in darkness. The first to cross open oceans. The first to enter space. Every great step forward began with terror and ended with transformation. Our brains didn't evolve to eliminate fear. They evolved to learn from it, to turn pain into knowledge, to translate danger into progress. So, when you face your fear, you're not doing something unnatural. You're activating one of humanity's oldest survival mechanisms, learning through danger. The big reveal: identity change. Here's the most profound part. After months of facing fear, you don't just change your brain, you change your identity. At first, your thoughts sound like, I'm afraid of this. Then they shift to, I'm afraid, but I can handle it. And finally, I'm not afraid anymore. I'm ready. You begin to define yourself not by avoidance, but by approach. You're no longer the person who hides. You're the one who shows up. That shift in self-image reprograms everything. How you think, act, and even dream. It's why climbers, performers, and entrepreneurs often describe fear not as an enemy, but as a compass. Points toward what matters most. The psychological ripple effect. As your relationship with fear changes, so does your relationship with life. You stop fearing failure because you've failed and survived. You stop fearing judgment because discomfort no longer defines you. You stop fearing uncertainty because you've learned to walk through chaos and find balance on the other side. Your empathy increases too. When you know your own fear intimately, you understand it in others. You become grounded, patient, compassionate, not because life is easier, but because you've practiced being brave. So what happens to your brain if you face your biggest fear every day? Biologically, you calm your amygdala, strengthen your prefrontal cortex, and rewrite your stress response. Psychologically, you shift from reactive to reflective, from controlled by fear to mastering it. Spiritually, you redefine who you are. It's not about erasing fear. It's about understanding it, turning a primal enemy into a lifelong ally. Fear isn't a flaw in the human system. It's the oldest teacher we have. It warns, protects, and tests us. And sometimes, it reveals what we value most. So the next time fear grips you, remember, that feeling isn't the end of something. It's the beginning of growth. Every time you face it, you're building new connections, not just in your brain, but in your character. If you could see your brain under a scanner after a year of doing this, you'd see a map of change. A living proof that courage isn't born, it's built. So, what's the one thing you're truly afraid of? The one that makes your heart skip even when you think about it? Now imagine walking toward it, not once, but every day. Would you still call it fear? Or would you call it freedom? If you found this idea fascinating, hit like, subscribe, and tell me in the comments, what fear would you face if you knew it could change your brain forever? Because next time we'll ask a deeper question. What if you could erase fear entirely? Would that make you invincible, or human no more?